You have to behave in such a way that you can state your opponent's views such that he says, yes, those are my views, and he has to be able to restate your views to you such that he can say, yes, those are my views, and then when you both are conversant with each other's views, you have to adduce facts upon which you agree. We say, do you agree that this is a fact? Do you agree that's a fact? So first we say, yes, I understand your views. I understand these are your views. You understand those are my views. We agree that these are the facts. And now we're going to reason from the facts upon which we agree to arrive at a conclusion. And that's how an argument could take place, because of course all people argue. And that's what a democracy is. When people stop arguing, what you have is a dictatorship. So I started trying to apply that to my daily life and realized that most of what I thought was political thought was just the reiteration of recognition symbols, right? So if one looks at, because I don't think it happens on the right, but when one look at the left, most of what passes for discourse is recognition symbols. Do we agree? Are you as part of my tribe? There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not, it's not, I realize that's not the basis for a life lived according to political principles. It's not going to get you anywhere.
So a recognition symbol, just to make sure I follow you, I drive a Prius.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing is conveying something about what tribe I belong to by choosing that brand or by choosing an environmentally conscious. Is that the sort of thing you mean?
Sure, of course.
Okay.
But also, for example, I was talking to somebody about the movie I was going to do, and I said I was thinking of John Voight. They said, oh, John Voight, he's crazy. So, I mean, I happen to know John Voight. He's a friend of mine. He's certainly not crazy, and neither is his thought crazy. So that's an exchange. It's an interrogation.
Right.
Instead, it's like,
in other words, John Voight is conservative. That's what they really mean.
Do we agree that John Voight's crazy? I was giving a lecture in New York about political thinking very early on in my conversion, and one woman said, wait a second, do you believe that the earth is growing warmer? And I thought, my God, that's fascinating, right? What I'm looking at is not a request for information or the desire to engage in an exchange of views or even an argument. What I'm looking at is a cultural interrogation. Mm-hmm. Are you part of my tribe or not? Because if you're part of my tribe, we're fine, but if you're not part of my tribe, we can no longer talk to each other anymore.
Right.
Which is what, Dennis Prager said, we're in the midst of a civil war. Thank God it's not violent, but it's, we seem to have we have split into two completely opposite camps. The traditional method of political discourse, where we have to come to the center, seems to have gone out the window, especially in the midst of this, the Obama hegemony, where we take our opposing views, we get into a room and realize that we're going to have to find some way to get along with each other. Because we all love America. We love America differently.
Quote, the good causes of the left may generally be compared to NASCAR. They offer the diversion of watching things go excitedly around in a circle, getting nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay. That's overstatement, right? Aren't you going to say
how?
America's a better place because we've got Social Security?
I don't know it's a better place because we've got Social Security. Listen, I think that people on the right and people on the left are concerned with justice.
Right.
The people on the left are concerned with something else in addition to justice, which is called social justice. And as I believe it was Tom Sowell said, it might have been Milton Friedman, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. That a society can't be just. That law, as we Jews say, where there's law, there's injustice. Someone's going to get hurt, and law is going to get misapplied. But when you start to posit an entity which is superior to the legal system, which is superior to the judiciary system, and is capable of correcting all injustice, what you end up with is tyranny.
My revelation came upon reading Friedrich Hayek's The Road to Serfdom. It was that there is a cost to everything. He wrote that there are no solutions, only trade-offs. Money spent on crossing guards cannot be spent on books. Both are necessary, but a choice must be made. And this is the tragic view of life.
Sure.
Okay, so I guess, let me be slightly pedestrian and suppose that David Mamet is getting older. People's views of life sometimes darken as they get older. You're turning conservative because you've lost the hopefulness of youth.
Oh, I don't know that I've lost the hopefulness of youth. I hope that I've lost the naivete of youth. Listen, listen, I got a teenage son.
Okay.
It's like living with the devil on steroids. Okay? I forgive my father.
I have 3 teenage sons.
Well, I'm so sorry. So it's like, it's like they say that the daughters are God's revenge on men, right? Sons are also God's revenge on men. So he thinks he knows the answer to everything because he's never had to put anything in practice. One of the things that makes a good leader, is the capacity to say, yes, nobody makes the choice but me. That's what I'm elected for. And if it's wrong, it's my responsibility to fix it in terms of some overriding goal. If the overriding goal of the leader is to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, he or she, I would hope, would make choices based upon that. If the overriding goal of the leader is, on the other hand, to completely transform the nature of the country, and the leader's going to make choices on that, that's not a person I want to vote for.
One of the great wrongs of our democracy was the Dred Scott decision. Here, the highest court in the land asserted that there existed 2 classes of human beings, the black and the white. How does that differ from affirmative action? Close quote. Okay, I'll tell you how it differs, and I'll quote Lyndon Johnson. Quote, "You do not take a man who for years has been hobbled by chains, liberate him, bring him to the starting line of a race, and say, you are free to compete with all the others, and still believe you have been completely fair." Close quote.
The question is, are black people stupid? And the answer is, they aren't any more stupid than white people. But the black people don't need the good-willed white people to help them. And that one might is paternalism. It's saying, I'll tell you what, guys, if you'll make me feel good, I'll be glad to put you back on the plantation. I was talking, Shelby Steele's a friend of mine, we were talking on to my synagogue, actually, a bunch of people from the synagogue, and a nice white woman in the background says, "Mr. Steele, what can white America do for black America?" And there's a long, long pause. And in the saddest voice I ever heard, Shelby shook his head. He said, "Leave us alone." What you're saying is the black people, although they'd been enslaved for 400 years, and they were so damn stupid that they didn't realize that they were enslaved. So we've freed them now, and they have no skills, whatever. They weren't stupid; they were just slaves.
Right.
It's like going into the concentration camps and saying, "Oh, you Jews, here you've been put on the brink of death, and your entire civilization has been wiped out. Guess what? We're going to help you now." They need help. They just need someone to open the doors of the concentration camps. We've got to still be talking to each other here. We've swung very, very far towards socialism, and the rollout of this Obamacare, as Krauthammer was saying today, he said it's a wonderful thing because that every person is going to see, every person in effect does see it. It doesn't work. It just doesn't. Because the question is who's in charge, and the answer has got to be that the American people are in charge, not Obama and not Bush, and not all of these people who have to raise $1 million a day and throw their coat over their shoulder and smile laughingly at the camera just as if they were a human being, but the American people. That's what the Constitution says. And if you go back and you read the Declaration of Independence, you read the abuses of King George, it sounds like they were written today about our government.